Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, here in Santa Clara, California, bright and early. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be watching this out there on the World Wide Web via the 2 million pages now of syscon.com, ulitzer.com. Here we are, day 2, 9th Cloud Expo. Who would have thought? 9 Cloud Expos already. Day 2 is going to be as intense as yesterday, so it's going to need stamina. And, well, you'll just have to see if you can last the pace. I hope you will. It's a 12-hour day. That's how much cloud we're serving up. Another company clearly serving up cloud, IBM. So let's start the day with Rich Lechner. He's going to introduce himself, I'm certain, VP of Cloud and Services Marketing at IBM. Let's give it up this bright and early morning for Rich. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Good morning. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I never thought that Santa Clara was a place where you could get into too much trouble, but clearly, based on the audience here this morning, there was some sort of a party last night. I think I have my friends at Rackspace to thank for that. So if you're watching this from your hotel room, thank you, or wherever you are in the world, and thank you all for being here this morning. I'll try to make it as lively a start to your morning and your long day as possible. I am with IBM, and we are very serious about cloud. We've been involved in the cloud space for at least 5 or 6 years now, and it is an important part of our future. But I'd like to start, before I talk about where we're going with cloud and where we're helping our clients go with cloud, I'd like to spend just a moment, if I can get the clicker to work, talking about where we've been. So could you advance the slide? Great. The AV guys are asleep as well this morning, or the computer is at least. So this year, as we're waiting for the slides to advance, this year IBM is celebrating our centennial, 100 years. And we have long been known for research and development. Today, IBM still remains the largest R&D organization in the world, spending annually over $5 billion in R&D. But what's differentiated us and what's allowed us to exist for 100 years is the application of technology and innovation to change the way the world works, to make a difference to individual companies, to organizations, to industries, and in fact to society. So as we, guys, is there a, okay. So as we looked at cloud, we've approached it perhaps in a different way from many others in the industry. We've looked at how can it be used as a technology to transform not only IT, but to reinvent the way business and society works. And what I'd like to do with you this morning is give you some examples of the kinds of really progressive projects that clients are doing around the world today. And just this year alone, we've had over 2,000 engagements with clients around the world. And by the end of next year, just to give you a sense of sort of the size of our presence in this space, we will have over 200 million seats on our public cloud infrastructure by the end of 2012. So what are people doing? Well, you all know that 2010, I think we could agree, was sort of the peak of the hype curve around cloud. And the focus has been about using cloud to do IT better. Dev test, rapid provisioning of infrastructure, rethinking IT. But what we're seeing and what others like the Economist Intelligence Unit are saying is that businesses are recognizing the potential of cloud to transform their relationships with clients, to allow them to compete on a global scale and to enter new markets more effectively. And in fact, surveys that we've done show that while 60% of CIOs plan to use cloud, and that's up significantly from just 2 years ago, up from 33% 2 years ago, and they're attracted to cloud because of cost takeout, standardization, higher utilization of assets. It's this sort of traditional rethink IT approach. On the other hand, business executives are also enamored with cloud, and they're seeing the promise of cloud as being much more than that, of allowing them to transform their business processes, to develop closer relationships with their clients, and to deal with the increasingly intelligent, instrumented, interconnected world that we call a smarter planet. So what I'd like to do is just give you a few examples of some of the things that the customers that we've had the privilege of working with over the past couple of years. And I'll start from sort of the more traditional application of cloud technology and then get progressively further into the reinventing business thought. So Lego is one of our customers that we've had the opportunity to work with, and it was a traditional sort of cloud-enabled data center. Start with standardization and virtualization, consolidation, deploy a private cloud, and what their focus has been on is standardizing to rapidly accelerate provisioning for new projects and new stores. And not surprisingly, when you think about Lego, if you're familiar with that toy set, they have a very standardized, componentized approach they call the Lego matrix. What is interesting is that they will tell you that as a consequence of adopting cloud in this new way of delivering services internally and to their clients, they will attribute a 22% increase in total business revenues as a consequence of this technology adoption. And for every dollar they spend on IT in their cloud environment, they will say that they're realizing $3 of business benefits. So substantial business benefit associated with this. Let me talk about another little company you may have heard of called IBM. We use cloud aggressively ourselves. And we use it in the traditional way that you might expect. We have over 2,000 developers around the world on a private cloud environment doing traditional dev test kind of things. But far more interesting, at least in my mind, is how we're using cloud in our services business. We provide security services for 4,000 clients around the world. Every single day, we receive 13 billion security events. Every one of those events needs to be processed, analyzed, determine if it's a new threat or an existing threat. And for the approximately 30 times a day, we see a brand new, never-before-seen threat. That information needs to be distributed to a team of security experts that are distributed around the world and analyzed, resolved, and then those 4,000 clients need to be inoculized against that new threat, so that if a new virus crops up in Peoria, Illinois, we can inoculate our customers from Singapore to Poland to London to New York. All done on the cloud. It's a great example of the power of cloud because it's analytics in the cloud, it's global reach, it's distribution of information and assets to the security services, and then it's distribution of the fix to this broad set of clients around the world. 13 billion a day, and in fact, that's trending up. We predict by next year, by the end of next year, we'll be seeing over 15 billion security threats every single day. Again, a great example of the power of cloud. True Value is a hardware retailer in the United States, not just in the United States. In fact, they operate in 54 countries. They've deployed cloud, software as a service, business-to-business integration using Sterling Commerce on a public cloud infrastructure to provide real-time integration and analytics of information. So from an IT perspective, they were just trying to cost-effectively deliver that B2B integration. From a business perspective, you're dealing with, I love this quote from the client, we need to serve the needs of a marketplace that demands immediate gratification. If you think about it, if you own a home or you're sort of self-repair person, if you're working on a leaky faucet and you need a particular washer or something, you go to the hardware store. If they don't have it, you're not going to come back next week when they get it in. You're going to go down the street to another hardware store. Immediate gratification required. And so, supply chain integration, reducing lead time by 56%, reduction in back orders by 85% means more competitiveness, more revenue, less customer erosion. This is the power of cloud. An even more exciting example in my mind is what's going on in Italy, in the University of Bari, where a set of students, computer science students, deployed a cloud environment for the purposes of learning about cloud. But they had a bolder goal. They wanted to do nothing less than transform the economy and the industries in their environment. So they used this cloud environment to literally transform the way the fishing industry works. So now there are, on the fishing boats in this small part of Italy, there are GPS systems linked to the markets, linked to the retailers and to the restaurants, so that the fisherman, as he catches his or her fish, can identify a market for that fish immediately. They find a buyer as soon as they make the catch. They pack the fish on the ship, and by the time they reach port, they've identified the best buyer at the best price, and they deliver the fish immediately. That's how they get a 70% reduction in time to market, from on the hook to into the restaurant or the store where the fish will be ultimately sold and consumed. Along the way, they've improved the fuel efficiency of the boats, because now they're not having to head from port to port looking for a market for their catch. They know immediately upon making the catch, while they're still at sea, what the best marketplace is, and they head directly there. So they reduce fuel consumption and emissions. And they've increased the average income of the fishermen by 25%. Now they're taking that same technology, that same capability, and applying it to the wine industry, using real-time sensors in the vineyards to monitor soil conditions, water, look for pests, so that they can optimize the production of grapes for the manufacture of wine. And then ultimately, they'll use this same technology to find the best markets for the locally produced wine. A great example, again, of how cloud is transforming not only an individual company, but an entire industry and society. Rio de Janeiro, another great example, using a smart city cloud. So a city operations center integrating multiple cities together, multiple city functions together. Because the challenge with many large cities, large and small cities, is that the individual departments are very fragmented and isolated. So the Public Works Department doesn't talk to the Security Services Department, to the Healthcare Services, etc. And so it's not uncommon in any major city, and I live in Connecticut near New York, so it's not uncommon to head into New York City and there's a marathon on or a bike race, and you would think that the people organizing the bike race or the marathon would alert the infrastructure services organization so that they're not doing road work on the alternative routes on that particular day. But that's not what happens. So there's a total lack of coordination of information. So what Rio's vision, and in fact more than 200 cities around the world that we're working with on the notion of smart city command centers, is to use the power of cloud not only for analyzing information in real time and disseminating information to the citizens, but of integrating city government organizations together. Now they started very focused on the area of response to rainfall and mudslides. So it's emergency response services was their first focus. And you can see on the chart, if you're close enough, you can see on the chart, that what they've been able to do is marshal resources much more rapidly. So now in the reaction or response to a mudslide, they can send emergency services out in hours or less than an hour, as opposed to what used to take days to send emergency workers out to a village or an area that was hit by a mudslide. They're able to also, by analyzing rainfall and using some technology that we have called Deep Thunder that looks at sort of predictive weather analysis, very granular focus on where rainfall will occur, they can provide now up to 48 hours warning of where it's likely that above average rainfall will result in a mudslide or an emergency situation and provide advanced notification to the citizens. So this is where they began, very compelling and very powerful. Where they're going, I think, is even more exciting because they have this vision of using this command center to integrate all the city services and to provide that information to the citizens. And they have an eye towards the 2016 Olympics and to the upcoming World Cup, which will also take place in Rio. Now, this is an example of a large city taking advantage of the power of cloud to do this. The exciting thing about cloud computing, of course, is that the same technology can be deployed in a public cloud infrastructure, secure public cloud infrastructure, to a very small city. So this is not just a solution that can be deployed for Rio or San Francisco or New York City. It can also be deployed for Las Gatas or Belmont or San Carlos or any of the other small cities that are around the world. And again, I love the quote from the mayor. With our emergency response system, we can react and respond to disasters faster and more efficiently. It's helping us save lives. So again, the focus here in my message is cloud is not just about dev tests. It's not just about driving the utilization rate of Intel servers from 12% to 60%. It's about saving lives. It's about transforming the way industries work. It's about generating revenue and jobs and employment. It's about changing the global competitiveness of an organization. And then let me finish on this example from Vietnam, and we have many examples of around the world of the use of cloud, where cloud is being utilized at a local government level to promote the economy and the growth of jobs. In Malaysia, we're working on a cloud infrastructure to support the creation of an animation industry. Malaysia aspires to be one of the hubs in the world for animation. It's an example of an industry that is highly resource intensive for short bursts of time, very capital asset intensive. So, it provides a hurdle to the emergence of that industry. By using cloud computing to provide those resources, the government of Malaysia hopes to promote the emergence of a very robust, globally competitive animation industry. In Vietnam, they're focusing on the power of cloud to help small and medium businesses to be more effective, providing the infrastructure necessary to support the business in an environment where 80% of businesses have fewer than 500 employees. This is the power of cloud. So we have had, as I said at the beginning, we've had the privilege of working with clients around the world. More than 2,000 engagements this year alone. They range from private cloud, sort of very simple sandboxing or dev test kind of environments, all the way up to software as a service, public cloud environments. We handle on our public cloud infrastructure more than 4.5 million transactions every day. We support, just as one example, over 1.5 million SAP users. And as I said, we project by the end of 2012 that we will have over 200 million users on our public cloud infrastructure by the end of next year. It's a combination, as you know, of private cloud, public cloud, and hybrid. Now, as we've worked with all those clients around the world, we've learned a few things. Number one, it's about enterprise-class service delivery expertise, because we're not focusing on the consumer market. We're not in the market to help you put your photos in the cloud. It's a great utilization model for cloud. It's not where the IBM company is focused. We're focused on enterprise-class solutions at the enterprise, industry, or societal level. To do that requires expertise in understanding what the requirements of the enterprise are. Secondly, it requires effective migration and seamless integration, because no one's going to go to 100% cloud. It's going to be a mixture of traditional IT environments, private cloud, public and hybrid cloud environments. In fact, what we're seeing more and more is, as a potential threat associated with the adoption of cloud, is the fragmentation of the enterprise. Just if you're old like me, and you lived through the emergence of client-server, or you lived through the emergence of the internet, and you worked with enterprises, then you saw this phenomena of great value to these new technologies and these new innovations. But at the same time, you saw a downside. At the enterprise level, the fragmentation. You had multiple versions of the truth. You had islands of computing and puddles of data. In the early days of the internet, it wasn't unusual to find a single large enterprise having 14, 15, 16 different external web presences, all presenting the brand to the marketplace, all in a disconnected and uncontrolled way. Today, we're hearing from clients who have as many as 5, 10, 15 separate, independent, disconnected contracts with a public cloud service provider like Salesforce.com. The fragmentation of the enterprise. And so it's not just about integrating traditional IT with cloud and different public cloud deployments. It's about looking across the enterprise and seamlessly integrating and leveraging all of these options in an integrated way without refragmenting the enterprise as we did in the early days of client-server or the early days of the internet. And then finally, of course, it's about doing that with integrity, security, and a degree of resiliency that an enterprise would expect. Because what's clear is, as we talk to enterprises, they're not going to compromise as they move to they want the benefits of cloud, but they're not willing to compromise to going there. So we do provide a set of capabilities across infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software and business process as a service, and we help clients design, deploy, and consume those services. And I'm not here to do sort of an advertisement for IBM, but just to let you make sure you're aware that we do have a set of capabilities, and I want to just take a few minutes to walk through what those are. First of all, we have Smart Cloud Foundation, which is a set of integrated cloud technologies to allow you to implement private cloud infrastructures. Secondly, we do have the Smart Cloud Services, our public cloud infrastructure designed for enterprises. And finally, we have a set of software as a service solutions delivered on top of that cloud infrastructure. So just very quickly, in the private cloud environment, we're providing the technologies to allow you to seamlessly integrate with the traditional IT environment, giving you a choice of the underlying platform infrastructure and hypervisor and operating system environment, all in a workload-aware fashion. At the enterprise level, workloads matter. Data matters. How you choose to deploy those workloads onto the cloud means that you have to have flexibility in deployment options. And we build in analytics to allow you to have insight and decision-making, not only as you deploy in what you deploy, but in the ongoing management of that service. As an example, it's always struck me as a bit odd that we can, through the power of cloud, we can deploy application resources, take that deployment from days or weeks down to minutes or hours. And yet, if you talk to the average enterprise, the decisions process for deciding what workload to deploy into a cloud environment is still measured in weeks or months. So we provide analytical tools out of IBM Research to allow, using a proven methodology, to allow clients to rapidly evaluate the workloads for deployment and decide in days as opposed to weeks or months what to deploy. Because it doesn't matter if you have rapid deployment, but you have slow decision making. At the second level, we do offer a public cloud infrastructure that we call Smart Cloud. It's a service delivery platform designed for enterprises. And what's unique about this is, for those of you who are students of history, you may recall that Henry Ford said in the early days of the industrialization of the automotive industry, you can have any color you want as long as it's black. And that's sort of been the public cloud mantra today. It's all about standardization. You get what you get. You take what you take. You take what we have. Our approach is slightly different. We say, well, you don't want black? You can have red, you can have blue, because workloads matter. And so we offer different levels of service to allow you to decide where you want, what level of management do you want, what the underlying infrastructure is, how much security and isolation you require, what the pricing model will be. Again, all across a mix of private to public to hybrid environments. So if there's one thing I would leave with you on this level, it's we provide you with the choice to allow you to decide based on your workload what the requirements of the infrastructure as a service are. Last month, we introduced our application services, our platform as a service from IBM. Again, designed for enterprises with the same level of choice and control, but also with an eye towards migratability, because we wanted to ensure the ease of migration of existing applications into this environment, and a set of automation and integration services, all built on open industry standards. And finally, we have a set of services that run on top of the cloud. Today, we have a set of social business services that run from collaboration tools like Lotus Live to BlueWorks. We have a set of analytics tools from Cognos and elsewhere to allow you to do real-time analytics on the cloud. In fact, within the IBM company, we have over 100,000 people using our smart cloud analytics tools in day-to-day operations to run our business. We have smart cities on the cloud, as I was talking about earlier, like in Rio. And then finally, commerce on the cloud, ranging from Sterling Commerce, which is what sort of the B2B integration tools and supply chain management tools that True Value used, to tools like Unica and Core Metrics that our own marketing departments use as we engage with the marketplace. But again, this is not about IBM. The only way we succeed and our clients succeed in this marketplace is by having a set of open industry standards to allow for ease of integration and avoiding lock-in. Again, we've seen this movie before, whether it was in client server or it was in the internet. You remember the Java versus ActiveX wars. It was about choice. It was about being able to deploy in the broadest set of environments. For that reason, IBM was a leading, starting member, founding member, there's the word, of the Cloud Standards Customer Council. Announced in April of this year, driven by the OMG. There's over 200 companies participating. In fact, it grows every single week. And what's interesting about that is that more than 50% of the participants are not IT people. Back to that beginning, that first slide I showed. Business people understand the power and the promise of cloud. And they're weighing in. And they're demanding a set of standards and features, interoperability features, that will allow them to realize that vision. And we're working with a broad ecosystem of partners, from infrastructure providers to application providers, to cloud services solutions providers and technology providers, and cloud building companies, to help provide a robust set of solutions on top of our infrastructure as we engage with clients. So let me close with this thought. Again, our focus is not in the consumer space. It never has been. Our focus is on changing the lives of consumers, on allowing businesses or governments or societies to interact with the individual consumer in a more efficient way. But our focus is on the enterprise and the organization. If that's your focus, if you want to realize the real power of cloud and not sort of leave it relegated to sort of sandbox, dev, test kind of things, if you aspire to change the way the world works, then we'd encourage you to think about working with a partner that understands how enterprises work and what the requirements of those enterprises are. Understand industries, that has a security framework that works across all facets of cloud computing. Focuses on cloud integration capabilities to integrate existing infrastructure with the cloud environment, and, as I said before, very importantly, integrating between these environments so that we don't refragment the enterprise. Focus on governance and administration and management control. Open standards are are king here. Our clients are demanding that as an industry we adopt and promote open industry standards that avoid lock-in and provide interoperability. Provide mobility capabilities, and finally, have global delivery capability. We have 7 cloud delivery centers around the world, 8 cloud laboratories around the world. We provide cloud services to over 60 countries around the world, and ultimately, we will operate and provide cloud services in all 180 countries that we work with today around the world. So let me close. Thank you again for coming out. For those of you still nursing your hangovers, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate the opportunity. If you have the moment, we'd love to see you at the IBM booth in the Solution Center, where a lot of these capabilities you can learn more about, and we have a set of experts there. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much. Let's give it up. Rich Lechner, thank you so much.